Ken Trahan along with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank. First NBC Bank is a proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. The New Orleans Saints continue to be active in the offseason. Sean Payton speaking out at the owners' meetings and really some pretty telling stuff. First and foremost, they signed Chase Daniel, a former New Orleans Saints quarterback, to come in and compete with Luke McCown for the number 2 spot. They re-signed tight end John Phillips. Okay, let's start with the quarterback situation. McCown's got another year left on his deal. I don't look like this situation, I don't look at it, rather, as being a done deal. I think it's going to be a competition between the two, but clearly Daniel wouldn't sign here unless he thought he was going to be part of this team.
Well, you would think that would be the case, and look, they're both not going to be here at the end of the day. You don't need 3 quarterbacks on your roster that are 30-plus. Daniel just turning 30 this year, of course. McCown's 35, 36, and, of course, we know Drew Brees, his situation. So I'm not shocked by the move at all, but still, it's a situation where you're going to create a healthy competition for number 2 and put yourself in the best situation. Drew Brees is not getting any younger. You got to give yourself the best backup available out there in the event that he has to miss a game at some point, just like he did a couple of years ago.
And with regard to the Malcolm Butler situation, Coach Payton cleared that up a bit, too. He said they absolutely will not sign him to an offer sheet, and they won't give up the number 11 overall pick, which I'm sure is a relief to a lot of Saints fans out there and something we've talked about. And where the offer sheet's concerned, that's understandable, too. Look, as we've said all along, the longer it goes, the more leverage the Saints have. They don't have to make a deal, but the closer they get to the draft, I would think it helps their hand a little bit.
Well, I think there's a deadline right before the draft
in
terms of what he has to do with his offer sheet. So there's that, and it could very well happen. But the offer sheet from I say the restricted offer that the Patriots have put out there, but an offer sheet from the Saints and 11 go hand in hand. If you sign it and the Patriots choose not to match, well, you're giving up number 11. And obviously, it's not. If you're going to do that, then it's not going to be the case in a trade either. So. Look, I think anything remains on the table at this point other than that 11th overall pick. Could it be 32? Could it be 43? Could it be, some combination of lower picks in there? Yeah, we'll as Sean Payton likes to say, we'll see.
And with regard to the Johnny Manziel situation, it's what I said all along. It was happenstance and really much ado about nothing. The Saints have signed Chase Daniel. They've got Luke McCown. Payton did not rule out taking a quarterback in the draft. Johnny Manziel's not coming to New Orleans. He never was.
No, exactly. And look, you do your due diligence when someone is there. It's like he said. He happened to be there. The both of them happened to be there. They set up. They sat down for breakfast, talked for a few minutes, and that was basically it. It's nothing more than that. It's nothing any different than they're going to these pro days and visiting with guys, or they're having interviews at, during the combine or at the Senior Bowl or anything else. You do your evaluations out there, and anybody who could potentially be a member of your team, or some cases not.
The New Orleans Pelicans kept their minuscule playoff hopes alive, outscoring Dallas, and I do mean outscoring them in a shootout, 121-118, and it was a good dynamic duo performance by Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins, who came back, and a really good performance by Crawford, who really hit some big shots for the Pelicans as well. Bottom line is they've struggled with Dallas, and to get a win over them tells you that this team's improved. Look, they're better. There's no doubt. They've won, 7 of 10. They've played better basketball with or without Cousins. It's too late, though. I mean, clearly the numbers aren't there. They're not going to make the playoffs.
No, it's too late. You're right. And the encouraging thing is that you're seeing some things start to kind of formulate for going forward. And exactly what this team is going to look like next year remains to be seen. But it's clear that even though some of the early returns suggested differently, that a Davis-Cousins duo down low could be really dominating and can be really tough with the right pieces around it in a full season to be able to play with that combo to really cause some trouble out there.
College baseball, really tough road trip for UNO, concluded with a loss to a very good Southern Miss team. I mean, that was a long road trip and a tough one for them. They only got one win out of it, and that was a conference game. Tulane, of course, a big win over LSU earlier in the week. And now LSU opening their SEC series on a Thursday night against Texas A&M. I know they have the field covered. Let the weather clear out and get that series started.
Yeah, and A&M has not played very well here the last couple of weeks, so they're clearly coming in as a desperate team, and LSU, I think, has to be careful with that because this is still not a bad team in A&M, although they're 1-5 SEC record would suggest differently. And it's obviously a big weekend for Tulane as well, getting started with conference play. South Florida coming into town, who's a very good team. I think they've only got 3 losses on the year. So UL Lafayette's got South Alabama. A lot of good conference play going on this weekend.
All right, where's the wood? Let's knock on it. We'd like to be able to bring you prep softball on Thursday afternoon. Mount Carmel and John Curtis Christian.
Yeah, let's see. Ideally, we will have a web stream for you at SportsNOLA.com with that. The weather ideally will be out. The good news is there's turf at John Curtis's softball facility, so there's that in play. Basically, get the weather out of here and you can play. If this was a dirt field with the weather conditions we're dealing with in New Orleans on Thursday, not a great possibility. And speaking of turf, we'll check out the new turf infield out at St. Charles Catholic on Saturday with a high school baseball action. Brother Martin at St. Charles Catholic, 11 a.m. Danny Ream will have the call because I think you're a little occupied on Saturday.
Somewhat. You want to give a shout out?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Congratulations to Ken's beautiful daughter Sabrina on her nuptials Saturday night. All the best to her and her husband or future husband, I should say, on a great life going forward. It's a special day for you, I know, and wish everyone the best.
Yeah, and her husband Mark Collada, really good young man. Sabrina Collada. Kind of sounds like a libation or something. I don't know.
Something like that. I think you can order that at Starbucks if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
She likes going there. It's all good. So we'll go with that. By the way, radio Friday night, Rummel and Holy Cross at Kirsch Rooney Stadium at 7 on WGSO, 9:90 a.m. and WGSO.com. That'll be a good one, too, because Rummel's honoring some special teams.
Yeah, the 1987-1997 state championship teams coming back to be honored Friday night. And look, one thing that we can appreciate here about high school sports is people embrace their history, whether it is whether it's the private schools, the public schools, whatever. There's a great appreciation for what has been done historically at these schools. In some cases, we're talking 20, 30 years here, but sometimes it's even further back than that. And it's great for our younger generation to be able to learn what has happened before them.
As always, thanks. Have a good week.
You too, and see you Monday.
All right, that's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank. First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend. Love you, Sabrina. Enjoy the wedding. I hope I will. Until next time, God bless you.